Hey there, future homeowners. So, you're thinking about buying your first home in Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, you have come to the right place. We're going to walk you through the 7 steps to making your dream of home ownership a reality. We're going to make it really easy too. So, stick around to the end to be sure that you don't miss this one simple step that could make your life a nightmare if you forget to do it. So, let's get to it. Step 1, you need to set a budget. You just really need to figure out what you can realistically afford. You need to take a hard look at your finances, factor in things like down payment, closing costs, monthly mortgage payments, all of the different costs involved. And I'm talking about the dangers of being house poor here. Like, you really need to consider that you'll probably be qualified for a little bit more than you want to spend. Maybe that's not true. I don't know what your situation is, but often I find with my people that they are qualified for a little bit above what they're willing to spend in terms of monthly payment. So be very, very sure about what you're gonna put on the line in terms of a monthly payment, because you're kind of locked into that for 15 to 30 years, depending. Most people 30 years at this point. I've also found that with interest rates as high as they have been, well, it's interest rates, yes, but it's also the fact that through the pandemic, the price of homes in Utah gained 30% appreciation year over year, at least 2 years in a row. And we've had basically appreciation every year since then. I mean, little dips here and there, but we really have had quite a bit of appreciation. And that's just meant that affordability has changed dramatically in Utah. And then you add on top of that some inflation, which means that your dollar's not going as far as it used to. And then you add to that higher interest rates to try to combat that inflation. And knowing what your payment's going to be has become much, much more important to people. Step 2 is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. So now that you know what your budget is, you need to shop around for a mortgage lender. Getting pre-approved is going to give you a much, much better idea of how much you can borrow, and it's going to help you narrow down your home search results. It's so important that you are connected with a lender of some sort before you do your home search. And my experience is that often I connect with my people and then I connect them with a good lender. So find a good real estate advisor or a good lender first, whatever makes most sense to you. But for sure, get your financing in order before you start looking for a home. There are a couple of really good reasons for this. The first one is that you're going to get the best financing. You're going to get the best deal on your loan. You're going to get the best terms for that loan if you do it before you find a home that you're in love with. Which brings up the second point as to why getting your financing in order before you find a home is important. If you find a home that you love, and then you try to get your financing in order, you've got that pressure of the home that you love is on the market, and anyone could get it ahead of you before you get your financing in order. And that gives you a lot of pressure to just get pre-approved with whoever, whenever, however, and maybe you aren't getting the best deal, the best terms for your loan. The second thing is that if you're going to get a home that's bank owned or foreclosure or short sale or corporate owned or any of those kinds of homes, you're going to have a pre-approval letter anyway. The third thing is that, maybe that's the fourth thing, I don't know. It's lots of things here. There are lots of really good reasons to get pre-approved. But the last thing that I would really mention here is that if you have a pre-approval letter and you're going to a seller with that pre-approval letter, it's basically like you're approaching them with cash. I mean, especially if you go through a full desktop underwriting procedure with your lender to verify that everything you've told them about your financial situation is the case, then it's basically like a cash offer in the eyes of a listing agent. And that's really powerful. If you're up against a bunch of other people to try to get the same home, who do you think they're going to go with? They're going to go with someone who is as good as cash or actual cash compared to someone who has a pre-approval letter that says, I told my lender these things, but my lender hasn't looked into it yet. they're definitely going to go with the cash-like offer, right? So the next step is going to be the third step is going to be, you got to find your real estate advisor. And like I said earlier, maybe you find the advisor first, maybe you find the lender first. Doesn't really matter, honestly. I think the most important thing about this stuff is that you're finding an advisor that you vibe with, that you connect with, because this person is going to be your advocate. This is the person that's going to be kind of representing you, I guess you could say, in the eyes of the seller. So if this person isn't the kind of person that you would like representing you, you should find someone else. You need to find exactly the person that feels good for you. The other thing is that your lender and your real estate advisor are going to be part of a team. They're going to work together to make sure that you get to the settlement table and that you're getting keys in hand for the home. They really do work together very often. So it's really nice if they can work well together as a team. They don't have to know each other. They don't have to be, recommending each other to you. They can be total strangers, that's fine, but they should at least have good communication, and you should all be on the same page at the same time. A good real estate advisor it's like your personal house hunting superhero. They're going to help you navigate the housing market, negotiate on your behalf, and find the perfect home, sweet home for you. So my experience working with buyers is that we have a VIP buyer system, and that VIP buyer system really helps us drill down on the things that are the most important to the buyer. We want to find exactly what it is that you're looking for so that you don't waste time on things that you wouldn't want in the long run anyway. It's also important to have that VIP buyer system because we're showing you, before you go look at homes, exactly what to expect through the process. If you know what to expect through the process, you can control the process a lot better, and you don't feel like you're under pressure to make decisions that you don't really understand the implications of, right? So if you have that VIP buyer system in place, then you can be informed about the market and about the process of buying a home and what it's going to take, and you can be in control the whole way. That's super important to me with my people, because I want them to be making informed decisions about what they're doing. Step 4 is to start house hunting, of course. That's going to be the next thing. You need to get ready to put on your house hunting hat and start exploring neighborhoods, attending open houses, and making those tough decisions on what you want in a home. There really should be a top 5 list of what you want and a top 5 list of what you need. And maybe some of those are the same, and maybe some of them are a little bit different, but it's good to differentiate between the things that you absolutely have to have and some of the things that you just want. So, like I said a minute ago, having a VIP buyer system is really important. If you are going to end up wanting a bank-owned or a foreclosure or a short sale or a government-owned or a corporate-owned home, we need to know that up front so that we don't waste a lot of time in other areas. We need to really understand what it is that we're looking for, and hunting for a home is going to be, it should be a fun process. Sometimes what will happen is that the first home you see will be the home. And maybe you'll go see a couple homes beyond that, and you'll just know, like, yeah, that was the one. And maybe it takes you 5, 6, 7 homes before you find exactly the right one. But if you drill down with your person exactly what you want, and there's good communication between you and your advisor there, your real estate advisor, you shouldn't have to waste a lot of time looking at a whole bunch of different things that you don't really want in the long run anyway. Step number 5. Step number 5 is to make an offer. When you find the home that you really want, the one you've been dreaming of, that dream home that gives you all the feels, it's time to make an offer. And your real estate advisor is going to help you craft a really strong offer that seals the deal. Seals the deal. I don't know why it's weird to say that. Seals the deal. Seals the deal. You know what it is? Utahns have a funny accent with letters like that. Sell the deal. Sell the deal. That's how Utahns say it. Anyway, the 6th step in all this is that you're going to get that home inspection. Like I said, you really got to have that home inspection before you pop the champagne is really crucial to make sure there are no hidden surprises lurking in the walls. And this step's going to give you peace of mind. It's going to help you make an informed decision. Step 7 is that you're going to get an appraisal as soon as you have decided that you're satisfied with how the inspection contingency is going to be resolved. Your real estate advisor is going to help you order the appraisal, and the appraisal ensures that you aren't paying more than the home is worth. And because you need an appraisal after the inspection, you're going to need to be on top of it when the lender asks you for various documents. Everything needs to come together like clockwork. So if the lender's asking you for documents, be sure to get them to them, because sometimes getting those documents to them will let them know that paying for an appraisal doesn't make sense. There are a whole bunch of moving parts like that. What you want in a good real estate advisor is going to be someone that ensures that you are protected with contingencies in the contract that keep you and your earnest money safe. So a good real estate advisor is going to make sure that that inspection contingency is written just the way you need it to make sure that you are protected, you are getting what you want, you know that you're going to be protected when you go in, so you can feel safe through the whole process. The next contingency, really it starts out with the seller disclosures contingency, and then the inspection contingency, and then the financing and appraisal contingency. And some of these things with like the seller's disclosures, that's where we're going to make sure that everything about the home stacks up to what you want, so that you even know if it's worth getting an inspection. Because if you see in those seller disclosures that there's things in there that you don't like, maybe the house caught on fire and they put it out with water and they didn't really fix it very well, maybe that's enough that you don't spend the money to get an inspector. But then the next step would be getting that inspector and getting that fine-tooth comb through the home to make sure that there aren't any problems that your real estate advisor doesn't know much about, and maybe you don't know much about either. But you can have an expert tell you it's worth bringing your contractor in to get a much closer look. So your inspector is going to be kind of a generalist, where they're telling you you might want to look at this thing, and then you get a contractor in, like a roofer or whatever, and they are the consummate professional, and they can say like, that's not really a big deal, or like, yes, that's something you should really think about. And then once you have figured that out, the way that you can work through that is you can get the seller to fix some of those things for you, or they can give you a little bit of money to cure that, or some combination of the two. And sometimes it's good to have a little bit of a combination so both parties can feel good about how that's going. Because as a seller, when I'm working with sellers, they always want the buyer to feel invested in the home, like they're taking on home ownership. That's part of owning a home, is that there are problems with homes. Things come up, and if you're going to buy the home, you need to know that you're getting into this. So they like buyers to have a little bit of skin in the game too. Once you have gotten through that, then you're coming to your financing and appraisal deadline. And that contingency is to make sure that you feel good about the terms of your loan, you like how much it's going to cost you, that sort of thing. So, and then also the appraisal. You want to make sure that appraisal comes in, because the appraisal tells you that you're not overpaying for the home. Once you have the appraisal in place, if it's a little bit lower maybe than what you've offered on the home, then you're in a situation where basically you have offered to pay more than the home is worth to a seller. And the seller can do a couple things. They can say, I think it's worth that. I want you to pay the difference between what it appraised at and what you offered in cash. And that's called an appraisal gap. So you can pay cash for that appraisal gap. Sometimes the seller says like, well, it's not quite worth what we thought, but you love the home and I think it's worth that, so maybe you'll meet me halfway and do half the cash. Sometimes the seller just says like, okay, and they just bring the price down to whatever the appraisal was. Really, a lot of that is going to depend on the market that you're in, if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And a good real estate advisor can really guide you through that process. Extremely important that you have someone to guide you through that process. The last contingency is going to be your settlement contingency. It was basically that when you sign the paper to get the keys. Step 8 is going to be closing the deal. You sit at the settlement table and you're signing the papers. You're almost there. Once everything checks out and all the paperwork is in order, it's time to close the deal. You get ready to sign those final documents and officially become a new homeowner. And you don't want to miss out on that step because there's nothing quite like getting the keys and sealing the deal on the home that you wanted to get. The thing that you do not want to forget to do once you go under contract on your home, you want to get homeowners insurance and movers scheduled as soon as you get that offer accepted so that you're not in a tough spot when that settlement day comes. If you're looking to get into your first home in Salt Lake City, check out our video about Salt Lake City's best neighborhoods. We have a short one to give you a sense of the best neighborhoods and a longer one that includes prices and details and that sort of thing. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much to everyone who's reached out.